Our story begins with Belle and the rest of the party as they come under attack from wolves trying to tear them apart with their fangs. One of the wolves breathes fire, but Welf steps in front of the flames and slices straight through them. Lily warns Makoto that she is about to be hit, but Makoto easily finishes off the wolf. The others are glad to have her with them, since they struggled on the middle floors when she was not part of their party. She apologizes for putting them in such a difficult position when they first met. They tell her that everything is in the past now, but she says she still cannot forget what happened. Afterward, they head to a tavern, where Belle congratulates Welf on reaching level 2. Lily says the prices of the things he makes will rise as well. Welf replies that he will never create anything that would embarrass his goddess. Lily begins to wonder whether he might leave the party, since he only joined them so he could level up and acquire the blacksmith skill. However, Welf assures them that he is not going anywhere. Lily then asks Belle whether he will be able to level up as well, but he tells her that he still has a long way to go. Suddenly, a boy from another party begins insulting all of them, and Belle tries to ignore him. But Belle becomes furious when the boy says that Hestia is useless. The boy claims Belle is only upset because he is telling the truth. Belle is about to attack him, but Welf smashes the boy with his cup. A fight breaks out with the other party, but one of them, a man named Cleo from the Apollo Familia, easily takes both Belle and Welf down. He says Belle has disappointed him and declares that he intends to make him pay for hurting his friends. When he begins choking Belle, Beat tells him to stop because he is ruining his evening. Cleo lets Belle go and leaves with his party, while Beat warns Belle not to become too full of himself. After they return home, Hestia is pleased that Belle got into a fight. But Lily notices that he is not acting like himself and thinks Hestia's bad behavior may have influenced him. Belle says he could not control himself when they started insulting her, but Hestia tells him to smile and let it go the next time because she hates seeing him get hurt. The next day, Belle tells Aina about the fight. She warns him to be careful because a conflict between two familias could turn the entire city into a battlefield. As he is walking away, two girls from the Apollo Familia named Cassandra and Daphne hand him an invitation to Apollo's party. Belle gives the invitation to Hestia, and she says she has to attend because she and Apollo share a history. She decides to bring Miacha and Takazuki with her. When they arrive at the party, Hestia is surprised when she sees Takazuki with Hermes. Takazuki tells her that he is not happy about being there with him. Hermes tells him not to act that way, since the two of them work together to save Belle. Hermes then begins praising Asfi's beauty and talking about how wonderful she looks. She becomes embarrassed and tells him to stop, but he keeps teasing her until she slams him into the wall. Apollo appears and tells everyone to enjoy the night. Hermes notices Belle staring at him and asks whether he wants to speak with him. Belle, however, is only thinking that he and Hestia are supposed to introduce themselves. Hermes says he has known Apollo for a long time and describes him as an interesting person who is constantly getting involved in love affairs, but who is also extremely spiteful. Freya arrives and immediately draws everyone's attention. Hestia tries to stop Belle from looking at her because she is afraid he might fall under her influence. Freya approaches to greet them and moves closer to Belle, but Hestia stops her and warns Belle that Freya is dangerous because she chases after every man she sees. Loki and Aias arrive as well, and Hestia and Loki immediately begin arguing. Each of them is determined to prove that her opinion is correct. Loki notices Belle and says there is nothing special about him, and that he is nothing like Aias, openly belittling him in front of everyone. Hestia refuses to accept that and starts arguing with her again, fiercely defending Belle. Later, Belle steps out onto the balcony and thinks about how uncomfortable he still feels in places like this. He feels as though he does not belong in their world. However, he is surprised when he sees Cleo quietly meeting with someone. Hermes approaches Belle and asks why he decided to become an adventurer. Belle says his grandfather told him it would help him find a cute girl and everything else he needed, as though he has always viewed the matter rather simply. Hermes asks whether Belle plans to dance that night, but Belle admits that he has never tried dancing before, and the thought makes him nervous. Hermes tells him to follow his grandfather's advice, meet some of the girls at the party, and try his luck, almost as though he is pushing Belle to experience something new. Hermes asks Aias to dance with him, but before she can answer, he says he needs to go somewhere else and cannot leave her standing alone. He asks Belle to take his place, shocking Belle and making him extremely nervous. Miacha notices that Belle has no idea how to ask Aias to dance, so he shows him exactly what to do, step by step. Belle copies Miacha and asks Aias to dance with him. She happily agrees without hesitation, but neither of them knows how to dance, and it is obvious. Takazuki and Mikoto give them a few tips, and little by little, they begin dancing properly. As time passes, the two of them become more comfortable and move in greater harmony. Hestia and Loki begin losing their minds because their favorite people are dancing together, and neither of them is pleased with what is happening. However, Asfi stops them before they can ruin the moment, and we learn that Hermes ordered her to do so because he wanted to let things unfold naturally. Ias reveals that this is her first time dancing, which surprises Belle because he thought she was experienced at everything. She thanks him because she is enjoying the moment and feels comfortable with him. Suddenly, Apollo approaches Belle, and Hestia immediately steps in front of him and tries to keep him away. Apollo tells her that their children got into a fight. Hestia apologizes for what happened and tries to calm the situation, but Apollo demands compensation because his children were injured. She tells him that Belle was hurt as well and that he was not the one responsible. Apollo then shows her one of his children, whose entire body is wrapped in bandages. Hestia asks Belle whether he truly beat him that badly, and Belle assures her that he did not. Hestia begins to realize that the entire situation was staged and that something is happening behind the scenes. She tells Belle that they need to leave quickly before the situation becomes even more complicated. But Apollo challenges her to a war game and declares that if he wins, he will take Belle from her. As though Belle were an object he wanted to possess, Apollo claims he cannot leave Hestia alone with a boy like Belle, using that as an excuse to force his control over her. Hestia insults him and calls him a pervert, but Apollo reminds her that they supposedly loved each other in the past. She tells him to stop lying because she rejected him and never looked back. She then clearly refuses the challenge, but Apollo warns her to think carefully because she will regret her decision. The next day, Belle and Hestia leave their home, only for a group of people to suddenly attack them and try to blow them up without warning. Belle shields Hestia, and they both survive the explosion. Hestia tells him that those men belong to the Apollo Familia, confirming their suspicions. Belle cannot believe that even after they refused the war game, the Apollo Familia decided to attack them in the middle of the city without fear. Two of the men rush at him, but Belle quickly takes them down with his knife. He then uses the smoke as cover, picks Hestia up, and runs away. The men continue chasing them from one place to another, so Hestia tells Belle that they should head to the guild where they will be safe. They eventually reach a dead end, and Belle tells her to hold on tightly before quickly scaling a building to escape the encirclement. There, they encounter Daphne and Cassandra. Daphne tells Belle that there is no point in running, because once Apollo sets his eyes on someone, he never lets them go, no matter how hard they try to escape. She reveals that the same thing happened to her before, and that both she and Cassandra were forced to remain with Apollo against their will. Cassandra advises Belle to surrender because she does not want to hurt someone who will soon become a member of their familia, as though she is trying to prevent the worst possible outcome. Belle refuses to give up and remains determined to protect his freedom. Cassandra throws a knife at him while her companions charge forward, but Belle uses Firebolt to blast them away and force them back. Cassandra says they should leave Belle alone because she saw a prophetic dream and feels that something terrible will happen if they continue chasing him. It is clear that she is afraid of what lies ahead. Daphne, however, tells her to stop talking nonsense. She does not believe her and wants to continue the pursuit no matter what happens. At the same time, Welf and Lily sense that something is wrong because Belle is late for their appointment. Two enemies try to chase after Belle, but Lily quickly takes them down with her arrows. However, she is shocked when a man named Xanis suddenly appears in front of her. Welf asks why she is not supporting them, and she tells him that she is returning to the Soma Familia, leaving him surprised and unable to understand her decision. Meanwhile, as Belle and Hestia remain in hiding, Cleo tells them that no matter what they do, they will never find peace, as though he is threatening them. Hestia tells Belle that they have two choices. Either fight a battle they are destined to lose or leave Orario and run away together. She then tells him that she likes him and wants to stay with him forever, marking the first time she has directly expressed her feelings to him. However, Belle tells her that he only respects her, which upsets and discourages her. The enemies find them, so Belle picks her up and runs as fast as he can, while Hestia becomes furious that they interrupted her, just as she was about to confess her feelings to him. They head to the Apollo Familia's home, where Hestia takes a glove from one of Apollo's men and throws it directly into Apollo's face. She then declares that she accepts his wargame challenge, causing everyone to grow excited and begin preparing for battle. Afterward, Welf catches up with them and tells them that the Soma Familia has taken Lily, leaving them deeply worried. Before Belle leaves to rescue her, Hestia tells him that she will buy them some time before the war game begins. He must use that time to become stronger, because he is their only hope. Belle goes to meet Ice, but the guards refuse to let him enter because they believe he has come to ask her to join his familia in the war game. Tion arrives, grabs him by his clothes, and orders him to leave, but the entire scene is only an act meant to help him. She then gives him a location where he can meet Ice away from prying eyes. Belle meets them there, and Ice tells him that she has heard about the war game. Her familia believes they should not help Belle, but she feels that leaving him alone in a situation like this would be wrong. Belle tells her that he wants to win the war game and asks her to train him. Both Ice and Tion agree to help him and stand by his side. Meanwhile, Zanis takes Lily to meet Soma and tells him that she has agreed to serve their familia. However, she asks Soma for permission to leave, which angers Zanis. He tells her that if she wants to leave them, she must pay 10 million valises. She is horrified because she does not possess that amount of money and realizes that she has become trapped. Soma, however, shows no interest and simply tells Zanis to handle the matter, as though the entire situation means nothing to him. This makes Lily's position far more difficult. Afterward, Zanis locks her away and calls her stupid for trying to speak to Soma. He explains that the only thing Soma cares about is making wine, and that he has no interest in anything else. Zanis also reminds her that he prevented his men from helping the Apollo Familia only because she agreed to go with him, making her wonder exactly what he wants from her. He reveals that he knows about her rare transformation magic because Soma told him everything about her, leaving Lily stunned. He then tells her that she will spend the rest of her life serving him, as though he has already decided her fate without giving her any choice. At the restaurant, Anya notices that Hestia has not attended the meeting where the rules of the war game were supposed to be determined, and she wonders whether they truly ran away. Seer, however, refuses to believe that Belle would withdraw and defends him in front of everyone, while the others hope that she is right. At the same time, Hestia tells the others where Lily is being held and suggests attacking at night when the location will not be heavily guarded, increasing their chances of success. Uka tells her that she should focus on finding a way to win the war game, because even if they rescue Lily, she will not be able to fight alongside Hestia since she belongs to another familia. Hestia explains that Belle will never be able to fight at full strength while he is worried about Lily. She also promised him that she would rescue her, so she cannot go back on her word no matter what happens. That is why she is so determined. At the gods' meeting, Apollo becomes furious when Hestia fails to appear and begins losing his temper. Takemi Kazuchi and Mayak tell him that she is ill because he had his children chase her all across the city, almost as though they are deliberately embarrassing him in front of everyone. Loki wonders whether Hestia intends to run away, and Apollo confidently declares that he will simply inform the guild that she has withdrawn. However, Hestia arrives at the final moment, completely changing the situation. Apollo reminds her that if he wins, he will take Belle, but if she wins, he will accept any condition she chooses to impose. Loki tells them to choose the rules of the battle so that everything can be settled. Hestia suggests that each familia select one representative to fight the other, but Apollo rejects the idea and calls her lazy because she only has one member, clearly trying to provoke her. He then asks all the gods to submit their ideas so that one rule can be selected at random. They choose Hermes to draw the result from the lottery, and everyone agrees. In the end, the siege format is selected, shocking Hestia because it is the worst possible choice for her and makes the mission far more difficult. Hermes points out that the situation is completely unfair because Hestia only has Belle, so he suggests allowing her to choose other people to fight alongside her. Apollo immediately rejects the idea. Freya asks whether he is afraid, and the other gods begin pressuring him, forcing him to agree that Hestia may choose only one assistant, who must come from outside Orario. This makes everyone realize that he is deliberately trying to make the challenge harder for them. Afterward, Hestia tells Takemi Kazuchi and Miak that she already has someone in mind, but before anything else, she must rescue Lily, because that is what matters most to her right now. Meanwhile, Zanis tells Lily that he intends to exploit her to make a great deal of money. She calls him greedy, but he sees nothing wrong with that. He loves his familia because his god does not care about his evil behavior, allowing him to do anything he wants without ever being held accountable. That is exactly why he continues going further. A man named Chandra arrives and reports that Hestia is attacking them. Lily tells Zanus that she will not help him if he hurts Hestia, but he threatens to force her to drink Soma's wine, which will make her addicted and turn her into an obedient slave. The threat terrifies her. After Zanus leaves, Chandra throws Lily the keys and tells her that he does not like Zanus. He says she can do whatever she wants, and he will pretend that he saw nothing, effectively giving her a chance to escape. Lily leaves the prison and sees her friends fighting. She tells them to leave before the situation becomes even worse. But Hestia refuses to go without rescuing her because she believes that Lily is her responsibility. Hestia tells her that she accepted the war game against the Apollo Familia and that Bell is training relentlessly to become stronger. He is only able to do that because he believes Lily will return, and her words deeply move Lily. Lily cannot believe that anyone would depend on someone like her, leaving her hesitant and conflicted. She goes to Soma's room and asks him to stop the fighting, but he refuses to listen, as though he does not care. He pours her a glass of his wine and tells her that if she can drink it and then repeat the same request, he will grant what she wants, almost as though he is testing her. She drinks it, but immediately becomes intoxicated and collapses to the floor, nearly surrendering completely to its addictive power. At that moment, however, she remembers Bell and everything he has done for her. She begins to cry and struggles against the wine's influence before once again asking Soma to stop the fighting, as though she is clinging to the final trace of hope she has left. At that moment, Zanus enters and declares that Soma does not need anyone telling him what to do, as though he is trying to seize control of the situation. But Soma orders Zanus to be silent and commands everyone to stop fighting immediately, making a completely unexpected decision. Zanus cannot believe what he has witnessed because Soma has never interfered in anything before. Even so, refuses to allow Lily to escape so easily. He tries to attack her, but Naza fires an arrow into his leg and pins him in place. Welf then charges toward him and strikes him with his sword, knocking him to the ground before he has any chance to get back up. Before they leave, Lily asks Soma to allow her to leave his familia, and he agrees without much hesitation. Hestia then makes Lily one of her children, as though Lily has finally found the place where she truly belongs. Soma wonders whether this is really the same girl to whom he once granted his blessing. Hestia tells him that Lily became stronger because he cast her aside and asks him to think about why she changed, because everything that happened forced her to learn how to depend on herself. Lily thanks everyone for rescuing her, but Mikoto reminds her that the war game has not even begun yet, and that the Apollo Familia is far stronger than they are. This causes everyone to turn their attention back toward the battle ahead. The next day, Takemi Kazuchi is troubled because he wants to help Hestia, but cannot do it alone. Mikoto then approaches him and asks for permission to join the Hestia Familia, causing him to seriously consider her request. Welf makes the same request of Hephaestus. She reminds him that his goal is to create swords more powerful than magic swords, but he tells her that he can achieve that goal anywhere as long as he still has passion. He reminds her that she was the one who taught him that. She wonders why he is willing to go so far, and he tells her that he is doing it for his friends, because they are what drive him forward. We return. Asfi tells Hermes that the game is about to begin, so he uses his power to create a live broadcast that everyone in the city can watch, making the event even bigger. Inside the fortress, the members of the Apollo Familia believe they have 3 full days, so they are not expecting an immediate attack. However, they are caught off guard when Ryo suddenly charges toward them at high speed. She strikes the fortress with a powerful wind attack, and the archers try to hit her, but she uses a magic sword and attacks with fire without hesitation. Apollo says their strategy is good, but they have 100 soldiers, while Hestia only has 5, so he does not believe they have any real chance of winning. Ryo continues blasting the fortress walls with fire, until a man named Luan tells them that Cleo has ordered 50 soldiers to go outside and fight her. They are surprised because that is half of their entire army, but he explains that if they send fewer men, she will defeat them easily. This forces them to take the situation seriously. Once they emerge from the fortress, Ryo strikes them with overwhelming force, but her magic sword finally collapses and turns to dust from being used too much. She then uses her second sword, which releases electricity, but that one breaks as well. She draws her wooden sword and continues fighting without retreating, showing just how determined she is. A man named Lysander notices that she is an elf, and the fact that she is using magic swords infuriates him because they were responsible for the destruction of their village. However, She tells him that she does not care about anything as long as she is helping her friends, making her purpose perfectly clear. She tries to strike him, but he overpowers her easily at first. Everyone is afraid of her because of her strength and determination, yet they continue trying to attack and stop her because they see her as a major threat. At the same time, Mikoto quickly enters the fortress. The archers try to stop her, but she skillfully deflects every arrow and continues forward without hesitation. When she encounters even more enemies, she uses a gravity spell and slams all of them to the ground at once, leaving everyone watching amazed by her power. Hermes is surprised by how quickly the Apollo familia reacts and says someone must be feeding them information in real time. However, he also points out that information can either become a weapon or cause defeat if it is wrong, making the situation even more dangerous. Apollo is stunned when he sees Luan open the gate, allowing Belle and Welf to enter. We then learn that Lily had disguised herself so she could infiltrate the fortress, while the real Luan had been kidnapped by Mikoto as part of their plan. Daphne realizes that the enemy has entered the fortress and immediately orders everyone to prepare. Belle appears before them without showing any fear. The mages try to attack him, but Welf uses his skill to destroy every spell, allowing Belle to pass through them and continue moving forward at full speed. Daphne tries to chase after him, but Welf blocks her path and challenges her, declaring that he will be the one to fight her, keeping her away from Belle. At the same time, Cassandra begs Cleo to escape, but he pushes her aside and orders everyone to take Belle down. However, he commands them not to kill him because he wants to finish Belle off himself. Belle thinks about how he never could have reached this point without his friends, and now he has to make sure that all their hard work does not go to waste. He uses Firebolt and destroys the floor of Cleo's room. The explosion tears apart everything around them, forcing the battle into a direct confrontation between the two. Belle charges at Cleo, and Cleo tries to block him with his sword, but Belle dodges the strike and easily snaps the blade in half. Cleo cannot believe the speed and strength Belle now possesses, because Belle was far weaker when they first met. Growing nervous, he tries to strike him again. However, Cassandra suddenly grabs Belle, allowing Cleo to seize the opportunity and quickly throw a ring of light at him. Belle avoids it at first, but it continues chasing him. He tries to stop it with Firebolt, but the ring strikes him and explodes with tremendous force. Everyone believes the fight is over, but Belle rises despite being severely injured, leaving Cleo stunned that he is still standing. Belle draws his knife and charges forward to finish him, but he suddenly remembers Ice's words, causing him to change his fighting style. He knocks the knife away and focuses on fighting with his bare hands. He manages to bring Cleo down and knock him unconscious, bringing the battle to an end. Everyone celebrates because Belle has won the war game, and the result comes as a complete shock to everyone. Apollo cannot believe what happened, and Hestia reminds him that he agreed to fulfill any demand she made if he lost. She declares that she will take all of his possessions, dissolve his familia, and banish him from Orario, making it an extremely harsh punishment. Afterward, Belle and the others return to Hestia. She shows them Apollo's mansion and tells them that they will be living there from now on, marking a major change in their lives. However, she says there is still a great deal of work to be done, and before anything else, she creates a new emblem for their familia so they can begin again. Lily goes to thank Soma for everything he did for her. As she is about to leave, he tells her to take care of herself, causing her to burst into tears because she never expected to hear those words from him. After that, Hestia takes them to her new home, where she holds a celebration for their victory in the war game. She also congratulates Belle on reaching level 3, which is a tremendous achievement for him. Everyone believes that Belle should become their captain, so Hestia asks him to give a speech. However, he simply tells them how happy he is that they joined his familia, keeping the atmosphere warm and simple. They all remember how shocked they were when they first entered the house because it was filled with statues of Apollo. Hestia explains that she completely renovated the place with the help of the building's owner, and she reveals that she added all the facilities they wanted, making them incredibly happy. Mikoto goes to enjoy the bath she requested, while Welf heads off to see his new workshop. However, Lily realizes that Hestia must have spent a huge amount of money on all the renovations. Hestia explains that she wanted Welf and Mikoto to feel welcome because they chose to join her familia of their own free will. Belle is amazed by how enormous the house is, and Hestia wonders whether they should hire servants. However, the moment she sees Belle daydreaming about them, she quickly changes her mind and laughs at his reaction. Belle notices Cassandra and Daphne standing outside and asks them what is going on. Cassandra says she is searching for her pillow. He asks whether she knows where it is, and she says she cannot remember, but she saw it inside the house in a dream. Bell then goes to search for it himself. He actually finds the pillow, and Cassandra thanks him for believing her. She then whispers something to Daphne, who says they will return tomorrow. They tell Bell that Hestia is recruiting new members for her familia, shocking him because he was not expecting it. Bell goes to ask Hestia about it, and she explains that their reputation has become incredibly strong after their victory. They need to take advantage of the opportunity and recruit new members so they can become one of the major familias. The following day, people interested in joining begin arriving at the house, leaving both Hestia and Bell excited about the beginning of this new chapter. Lily begins making a list of the people they need to be cautious of, and becomes extremely focused on the selection process. She rejects every attractive girl, because she does not want Bell to become confused or distracted from his goal. Hestia thanks everyone for coming, and announces that she will hold individual interviews with everyone who wants to join. However, Makoto suddenly arrives carrying a debt document, revealing that Hestia owes 200 million, instantly destroying the entire mood. Hestia cannot believe Makoto found it. She tries to explain herself and laugh the matter off, but the revelation is so shocking that everyone who came to apply immediately leaves without a second thought. Welf examines the document and discovers that Hestia owes the money to Hephaestus because of Bell's knife. He cannot believe its price reached such an enormous amount. Hestia says she forgot about the debt because the money had been gradually deducted from her salary, and she tries to joke about it, but everyone remains upset and unconvinced. Welf says the solution is for them to take on more missions and pay off the debt, but Hestia refuses to let them help because she wants to accept responsibility and repay it herself, showing just how important the matter is to her. After Bell wakes up, Welf takes him to the bath. Hestia listens to their conversation from a distance, but Mikoto and Lily enter as well, so she tells them to remain silent so they can listen without being discovered. Bell thanks Welf for joining the Hestia familia and says he never imagined they would one day live together, especially since the first time he met Aisha tells him that every room is occupied and that he will have to wait. He asks whether the fact that he belongs to another familia will be a problem, but they tell him that this happens every night and that the Amazons kidnap men and do whatever they want with them, making him extremely nervous. A huge woman named Fern recognizes him and tries to approach, but the others stop her so she will not ruin their opportunity. She begins arguing with them and claims that she is more beautiful than all of them, and Bell takes advantage of the commotion to quietly attempt an escape. However, they quickly notice him and declare that whoever catches him first will be the winner. Bell begins running in terror, telling himself that he has to escape by any means necessary. He quickly enters a random room to hide, where a girl named Haruhime mistakes him for a customer and takes him to the bed. He tries to stop her and explain the situation, but they fall down together, leading her to believe that this is his first time and making her try to calm him. When she begins moving closer, she is shocked, because this is the first time she has ever seen a man's body like this. The situation becomes too much for her to handle, and she suddenly loses consciousness from the sheer shock. After she wakes up, she apologizes for mistaking him for a customer and becomes deeply embarrassed by what happened. Bell tells her that he is trying to escape from Aisha and her friends, but she explains that he will not be able to get away easily because this is his first time in the area and he does not know the streets. She offers to show him a shortcut at dawn, but in return she wants him to remain with her and talk until it is time for him to leave, almost as though she desperately needs someone to keep her company. She reveals that she comes from the Far East, that her family disowned her, and that she was later sold to the Ishtar familia. However, she had always dreamed of coming to Arario because she had heard so many stories about it. At the same time, Hermes delivers a box to Ishtar, tells him to make absolutely certain that no one learns anything about it. He asks what she plans to do with it, tells him that she will show him something entertaining very soon. She then asks whether he has any other useful information, but he has nothing new to offer. Bell and Haruhime continue talking about stories of heroes, and she says she wishes a hero would come, take her away, and rescue her from the life she is trapped in. However, she believes that she does not deserve such salvation. Bell tells her that a true hero would never ignore someone who needed help, but she replies that she sold her body for money, and that no hero would come to save a girl who sees herself as stained in that way. She says she has lost the right to read beautiful heroic stories because she is no longer as pure as she once was. She then tells him that it is time for him to leave and thanks him for spending time with her because his presence brought her a small sense of comfort. She shows him the path he can use to escape, and he quickly runs away. However, Aisha notices Haruhime and orders her to go back inside, almost as though she has begun to suspect what happened. When everyone returns home, Hestia cannot believe that Bell spent an entire night in the pleasure quarter. She assumes that he must have done something wrong, especially after finding the bottle Hermes gave him. However, since Bell promised Hermes that he would not tell anyone, he reassures Hestia and insists that he did nothing wrong. She believes him because she knows he never lies to her, but she is still angry, so she punishes him by making him help the neighbors with their cleaning. While Bell is working, he notices children pretending to be heroes, which makes him remember Haruhime and everything she said about heroes. Lily and the others arrive to help him because they feel guilty, since they were the ones who brought him there. Mikoto apologizes and says that everything that happened was her fault. Bell asks what she was doing there, and she explains that she was searching for her friend. He asks whether she means Haruhime. Lily becomes saddened when she learns that Haruhime truly works in a place like that, but she tells Bell not to think about rescuing her, because doing so could place a burden on Hestia and drag them into serious trouble. Welf tells Lily not to act as though she is some kind of villain, making her feel embarrassed. However, both he and Mikoto still agree with what she said because they understand how dangerous the situation is. At the same time, Hermes begs Mia to deliver a message to Freya because Belle's life may depend on it. He tells her that Belle has attracted Ishtar's attention, which could lead to enormous trouble. Seer overhears their conversation and asks whether he was the one who brought Belle to the pleasure quarter, but Hermes insists that he did not personally take him there. Belle goes to meet Aina, and she notices that he seems slightly different from before. He tells her everything that happened in complete detail, leaving her shocked. She screams at him and orders him never to visit a place like that again. Belle then asks her about the Ishtar Familia, so he can better understand the situation. She explains that they are one of the most powerful familias in Arario, both financially and in terms of their achievements inside the dungeon. Most of their Amazons are at least level 3, making them extremely dangerous. Their captain, Fern, is level 5 and nearly defeated A's in the past, although that happened a long time ago, when Fern was at the height of her strength. Belle asks about Aisha and Haruhime. Aina says she has heard of Aisha, but she knows no details about Haruhime, which only makes Belle even more worried about her. She warns him that 5 years ago, the Ishtar Familia was accused of concealing the true strength of its members. The guild investigated the matter, but found no clear evidence. Afterward, Ishtar punished those who accused her, destroyed numerous familias, and even forced the guild itself to pay a fine. Since then, the guild has lost control of the pleasure quarter. Belle realizes that the Ishtar Familia is incredibly dangerous and not easy to deal with at all. Aina tells him to stay completely away from them because they are far more dangerous than they appear. She warns that if he becomes involved in a conflict with them, he could lose everything. After leaving, Belle goes to a library and reads about a hero who lost his honor because of a woman of the night, only to reclaim it after killing her. He remembers Haruhime's words and begins thinking about the situation more deeply, wondering whether that truly is the solution or whether another path exists. Meanwhile, in the pleasure quarter, Aisha notices that something is wrong and feels that events are not unfolding normally. At the same time, she notices something unusual about Haruhime's behavior, but she tries to convince herself that it is nothing more than a feeling and that nothing will happen. Aisha gives her some candy from the Far East, and Haruhime thanks her for always being kind and treating her well. However, Aisha tells her that she does not need to thank her for every little thing, almost as though she does not want to reveal how much she cares. Suddenly, Mikoto appears in front of Haruhime and tries to speak with her, but Haruhime behaves as though she does not know her at all, leaving Mikoto completely stunned. The following day, Mikoto tells Belle what happened, and he asks what Haruhime was like when she lived in the Far East. Mikoto tells him that Haruhime was the reason she received the divine blessing from Takamikazuchi. She explains that she lived with Chigusa and Uka in a temple, while Haruhime lived in a palace because she was the daughter of a nobleman. The first thing Haruhime asked of her father was for him to help the temple and provide them with food, and that was what led to their first meeting. Mikoto says that Haruhime always seemed lonely and had no one close to her, so Takemikazuchi decided to help. Mikoto also wanted to free her from that loneliness, so they would sneak into her palace every night and take her outside. Haruhime was incredibly happy, and little by little, she began to smile. Afterward, they came to Orario so they could work and send money back to the temple. However, Mikoto heard a rumor that Haruhime had been deceived, tricked, and sold to a slave trader. The memory makes her cry because she feels guilty and wants to rescue Haruhime by any means possible. Belle is deeply moved by her words and decides to help her no matter what, even if it proves difficult. They notice that Hermes has been listening to their conversation, so they tell him about Haruhime. He advises them not to break the law because doing so could ignite a major war between the familias. He says the best solution would be to purchase her freedom instead of trying to smuggle her out by force. He explains that because she works at night, she may be available for purchase, but if she is a fighter, the situation will become much more difficult because the Ishtar familia will not surrender her easily. Belle insists that she is not a fighter, so Hermes says they might be able to buy her for somewhere between 2 and 3 million valleys. He asks them for more information so he can question Ishtar about her, but he is surprised when he learns that Haruhime is a Renard, making the situation slightly more complicated. He then reveals that when he met Belle before, he had been delivering something known as the Killing Stone to Ishtar. However, he refuses to reveal any further details, making the entire situation even more mysterious. Meanwhile, Ishtar orders the members of her familia to abduct Belle. She notices that Freya is interested in him, but has not made a move, so she decides to take advantage of the opportunity. She warns Fern not to interfere before her, and tells the girls that they can do whatever they want with Belle after she is finished with him. She reminds them that the full moon is approaching and that it will soon be time for the Killing Stone ritual. Belle tries to escape, but Freya licks his face and tells him that no one is coming to save him, and that he is completely in her hands now. Suddenly, she grabs him in a way that leaves him utterly shocked and unable to move. She then says she will bring him a drug that will make him love her and submit to her completely. After she leaves, Haruhime arrives and quickly removes his restraints while he is still terrified. Belle begins crying from all the fear and tension he endured, then hugs her tightly because he truly believed he would never escape from that place. The others are still searching for him everywhere, and Mikoto uses a spell to locate him. However, she discovers that he is beyond her range, almost as though something is preventing her from reaching him. Freya returns and discovers that Belle has escaped. She immediately realizes that Haruhime helped him get out, and her expression changes as anger spreads across her face. Haruhime shows Belle a secret passage that will allow him to escape quickly. He is deeply worried about her, but she tells him that she also helped Mikoto escape and tries to reassure him, even though she knows her own situation is dangerous. Belle realizes that she could be punished if her actions are discovered, but Haruhime says Freya already knows because she is the only person who knew the location of the room. She sounds as though she has accepted whatever may happen to her. She tells him not to worry and says this is the final thing she will ever do for herself and that the others will surely forgive her. Belle tells her that they are planning to buy her freedom, causing her to cry with joy because, for the first time in her life, there are people who genuinely care about her. She says she has no regrets. At the same time, Lily says they saw an Amazon near the place where Belle and Mikoto disappeared, leading Chigusa to believe that they were truly abducted. Lily wonders why a powerful familia like the Ishtar familia would go so far to protect such a minor member, and what could possibly be behind all of this. Hestia remembers Belle asking about the Killing Stone. Takamikazuchi is horrified and explains that it is a forbidden magical item capable of sealing the soul of a Renard and allowing its user to wield terrifyingly powerful magic. He says it is even stronger than magic swords and that even a tiny fragment can have a dangerous effect. Once the Renard's soul is sealed, the stone shatters and can never be restored, while the soul itself disappears completely. He reveals that the ritual must be performed beneath the full moon, meaning everything will happen that very night and that they do not have much time left. Haruhime tells Belle to escape once they get him outside. He is extremely worried about her and refuses to leave her behind, but she explains that she cannot escape because she is wearing a necklace that reveals her location to Ishtar and restricts her movements. Mikoto reaches them, and we learn that she has discovered what the Killing Stone is meant to do. She calls Haruhime an idiot and tries to stop her from sacrificing herself, but Aisha suddenly grabs Mikoto and swiftly drags her away. Belle asks what they are truly planning, and Aisha reveals that they intend to begin a war against the Freya familia and are confident they will win because of Haruhime. Belle cannot understand how Haruhime could help them accomplish something like that. So Aisha explains that she possesses an ability that can temporarily raise another person's level. They plan to sacrifice her so they can strengthen the rest of the familia. Belle cannot believe what he is hearing and asks how they can use Haruhime like a mere tool. However, Aisha warns him that if he tries to take her by force, he will ignite a massive war involving his own familia, and he will never be able to bear the consequences. She says that when Haruhime first arrived in the pleasure quarter, she hated her because Haruhime was always smiling, as though she had surrendered to everything. That expression irritated and provoked Aisha more than anything else. One day, Aisha finally unleashed her anger and destroyed an important stone, but she was punished afterward by Freya, and Ishtar exploited her weakness. Since then, Aisha has been unable to disobey Ishtar's orders, no matter how hard she tries. She asks Belle why he is not trying to take Haruhime away and save her. She tells him that he will never be able to do it while hesitating like this, and that if he remains this way, he will never be able to save anyone. At that moment, the rest of the Amazons arrive. Haruhime grabs Aisha to hold her back and tells Belle to run immediately, but Belle freezes in shock and cannot move. Mikoto grabs him and runs, while attacks come at them from behind and from every direction. Belle and Mikoto hide in a place some distance away. Belle cannot stop thinking about Haruhime and becomes furious with himself because he cannot make a decision or do anything to help her. Meanwhile, Hestia and the others try to reach them, but the guards stop them because the entire area has been sealed off. They discover that every entrance has been closed so no one can enter or escape. Freya screams in anger because they still have not found Belle. Aisha reminds her that this happened because she disobeyed Ishtar's orders, but Freya insists that everything would have gone according to plan if Haruhime had not interfered. Samira tries to calm everyone and bring the tension under control. She says they can hand Belle over to Ishtar after the ritual is complete, because he is not strong enough to stop them. She suggests allowing him to escape for now until everything is finished. At the same time, Belle thinks about Haruhime's words when she said a hero would never save a girl like her. He is deeply troubled because he does not believe those words are true, and he feels that the entire idea is fundamentally wrong. Suddenly, he notices his hand glowing strangely, as though a power is stirring inside him. Mikoto returns after carefully checking the area and says that everyone searching for them has gone back, making this the perfect time to escape before anyone notices. However, Belle suddenly decides without hesitation that he will rescue Haruhime instead. Mikoto reminds him of the consequences and warns him that this could cause enormous trouble for their familia. But Belle says Hestia and the others will surely understand. The pressure and fear cause Mikoto to cry, but in the end, she decides to help him despite how frightened she is. The Amazons return to Aisha and report that they could not find Belle anywhere, meaning he may have escaped. However, Aisha smiles confidently and says she is certain that he will return to save Haruhime no matter what happens. Mikoto quickly creates a plan. Once she reaches Haruhime, she will fire a green signal if she successfully rescues her, and a red signal if she fails. If that happens, someone must destroy the killing stone by any means necessary. Belle then charges toward the front gate and blasts it open with firebolt, knocking away the Amazons standing before him. Hestia and the others hear the commotion, enter as well, and attack the guards to clear a path. While everyone is distracted by Belle's sudden attack, Mikoto takes a needle and secretly places it against one of the Amazons without her noticing. She discovers Haruhime's location, and then quickly knocks the Amazon unconscious. Freya says Belle has returned, and orders Samira to begin the ritual immediately, without any further delay. Aisha takes Samira away, then heads out to fight Belle herself. Belle continues running and attacking everyone he encounters with firebolt without ever stopping. However, he suddenly comes face to face with Freya, who rapidly throws her axes at him. Belle tries to strike her, but his attacks have no effect at all. She hits him and sends him crashing violently into a door. The Amazons prepare to attack him at the same moment, but Ishtar stops them and orders them to leave him behind and head to the ritual site because that is far more important. Belle asks why Haruhime has to die in such a cruel way. Ishtar laughs and says she is surprised that he can speak about another girl so openly in front of her. She explains that she will use Haruhime to raise the levels of her familia and win the war against Freya. She also says that she hates Freya because every man sees her as the most beautiful woman alive. That has always tormented her and driven her to surpass Freya by any means necessary. Belle asks why she trained Haruhime in the first place if she always planned to sacrifice her. Ishtar coldly replies that there is nothing wrong with that and that she does not have time to waste arguing with him. One of her men, a man named Thomas, pins Belle firmly to the ground. They reveal that Thomas has reached level 4, meaning Belle will not be able to escape from him easily. Ishtar then tries to seduce Belle, leaving him deeply embarrassed. He desperately tries to look away from her, but Thomas forces him to stare at her against his will. Belle closes his eyes and tells her to stop, leaving Ishtar completely stunned because he should have fallen under her spell. However, when she looks at his back, she discovers a strange skill that seals his emotions, meaning her charm magic has absolutely no effect on him. Belle takes advantage of the moment and escapes from Thomas. Ishtar orders Thomas to chase him and prevent him from getting away, so he runs after Belle at full speed, trying to catch him before he disappears. Meanwhile, Haruhime is being dragged by force toward the ritual site when Mikoto arrives and tries to rescue her. However, Haruhime reminds her that doing so could cause another massive war. Mikoto cannot understand why Haruhime has surrendered so completely. She tells her that if she asks Belle for help, he will never abandon her, no matter what happens. Haruhime cries and says she sold herself to men she did not love. She cannot forgive herself and does not believe she deserves to be rescued or cared for by anyone. The Amazons arrive and attack Mikoto, forcing her to escape quickly by leaping from the top of the tower. With a trembling hand, she fires the red signal to tell Belle that she failed and could not reach Haruhime. The ritual begins, and Samira is only moments away from killing Haruhime. However, Mikoto returns and charges in to rescue her despite her injuries. She refuses to leave without Haruhime no matter what happens, so Samira attacks her with overwhelming violence. She is shocked that even though Mikoto is only level 3, she is incredibly strong and resists with unnatural determination, as though she has no intention of surrendering. At the same time, one of the women informs Freya that Belle has escaped. Freya becomes furious and orders him to come out, threatening to kill his companion if he refuses. However, Mikoto tells Belle to remain hidden. Samira shows Mikoto that the ritual has already begun. Mikoto remembers Takemi Kazuchi's words that ninjas are always loyal and that she can become truly great if she has something worth protecting. Mikoto grabs Samira and refuses to release her despite the relentless attacks. Suddenly, her body begins to glow, and she unleashes her magic, causing the entire area to explode. As she falls from the tower, she screams and begs Belle to save Haruhime. Belle finally appears, so Freya orders one of the women to kill Haruhime. However, Belle stops her and shatters the killing stone into pieces. At the same time, Ishtar is shocked to see the entire pleasure quarter burning because of an attack by the Freya familia. Freya leaves the area and goes to confront Ishtar. At the ritual site, Belle tells the Amazons to release Haruhime because the killing stone has been destroyed. However, Freya says they will simply find another stone. Haruhime tells Belle to leave because she does not want to become a burden, but he tells her that the heroes they believe in would never abandon her. She cries and says she is filthy and does not deserve to be rescued, but Belle tells her that she has done nothing she should ever feel ashamed of. He says a person should only feel shame when they have no will to take action, and that she has never once told him what she truly feels inside. Freya strikes the ground and sends Belle flying away, then orders Haruhime to enhance everyone's level. Haruhime begins casting her magic, but instead of using it on Freya, she raises Belle's level and begs him to save her because she does not want to die. Freya strikes Haruhime in anger and Belle attacks Freya. However, she says that raising his level will not be enough and that the two of them are now almost evenly matched. The other Amazons become distracted by everything happening across the city. Aisha tells them to flee because the Freya familia has attacked them and because they have no chance of winning without the killing stone. We see the members of the Freya familia telling Attar that they will not help Belle, but he does not care. All that matters to him is blocking Ishtar's escape route. As he walks, he finds Mikoto lying on the ground and uses a healing potion on her. At the same time, Hestia and the others are confused because they have not encountered anyone. Suddenly, a woman attacks them and knocks Welf down. Before she can finish him off, a man from the Freya familia named Alan stabs her and tells Welf to stay out of the way. At the ritual site, Belle and Freya continue fighting. Freya says Haruhime will remain with them forever, but Belle responds that she is not a tool. He strikes her with his sword and cuts her face, causing her to lose control and try to crush him with her axe. He dodges, but she shatters the ground. Belle attacks while she tries to block him, but the floor collapses beneath her, sending her falling below. When Freya emerges from beneath the rubble, she sees the city engulfed in flames and suddenly Otter appears before her. She tries to strike him but he breaks her arm. She begs him to spare her and offers herself to him, but he becomes enraged that she would compare herself to his goddess and crushes her head. At the same time, Mikoto regains consciousness and finds Takumi Kazuchi carrying her. They tell her that they still have not found Belle, so she tells them to head toward the Hanging Garden. At the ritual site, Aisha tells Belle that she will not give Haruhime up so easily. Even if he saves her now, other people will eventually hear about her power, and the same suffering will happen all over again. Belle refuses to listen. He waits until the effects of the level enhancement wear off, then attacks her. Aisha realizes that he is not very smart, but even so, she finds herself admiring his personality. Ishtar tries to escape, but she encounters Freya. She orders the Amazons to attack her, but Freya immediately charms all of them. Ishtar is shocked and apologizes for abducting Belle, but Freya says she will never forgive what she did, because she will not allow anyone to take him from her. Hermes watches the burning city beside Asfi, and thinks that all of this is his fault because he was the one who told Ishtar about Belle. However, he never expected the situation to go this far. Asfi asks what his true goal is, and Hermes says he wants to accomplish something even Zeus could not achieve, turning Belle into the final hero. Belle continues fighting Aisha. She says people like him excite her more than anything and cuts his face while he nearly lands a strike on her as well. Both of them channel magic into their swords, and her attack creates a powerful shockwave that nearly sends Belle flying. He manages to block it, but both of their swords shatter. They charge at each other, and Belle covers his hand in firebolt before sending her flying away. At the same time, Ishtar continues fleeing from Freya until she reaches a dead end. However, she notices Tammuz sneaking up behind Freya and tries to distract her. She tells Freya that divine charm does not affect Belle, which only makes Freya even more determined to have him. Tammuz attacks her, but she charms him instantly. Ishtar breaks down and attacks Freya, but Freya slaps her and throws her from the top of the building. A pillar of light then appears, and Hestia announces that Ishtar is being dragged back to heaven and will never return to the mortal world again. Belle is startled by the light and notices Freya watching him. She says something to him before walking away. Haruhime regains consciousness, and Belle tells her that he came to save her before breaking the necklace around her neck. She tells him that he is her hero. Hestia arrives with the others, and Mikoto says she is happy that Haruhime is safe. We then see the god Ares leading an army from the kingdom of Rakia to attack Orario, but Garth of the Loki Familia strikes the ground and creates a shockwave that sends the entire army flying away. At the same time, Aisha says goodbye to Haruhime. Haruhime thanks her for everything she has done, but Aisha tells her to stop saying things like that, because it makes her feel sad. Aisha plans to go confront Rakia's army, while Welf says that although their army is enormous, they are still only ordinary soldiers and cannot compare to powerful adventurers. Before Aisha leaves, she tells Haruhime to do whatever she wants, because she is finally free. She then warns Belle that if anything happens to Haruhime, she will make him regret it. Samira is surprised that Haruhime still believes she truly worked as a woman of the night, because in reality, she fainted every time she saw a man, meaning nothing ever happened in the first place. Afterward, Belle meets Hermes and thanks him for the information, but Hermes tells him that Belle himself is the hero who saved Haruhime. Hermes then tells him about the 3 great quests, which involve defeating 3 ancient monsters, and explains that this is why people have been waiting for a hero to appear. He reveals that Zeus and the Hers Familia fought those monsters together and managed to defeat 2 of them, but they were destroyed before they could kill the 3rd, the Black Dragon. Belle is shocked because he believed the Black Dragon was only a legend, but Hermes tells him that it is real, and that any adventurer in Orario could become a hero. On the battlefield, Ares wonders why they are losing. His assistant Marius tells him that the adventurers are simply far too powerful, and that retreat would be the better choice. Ares falls, and says that his father listens to everything he says. So Marius explains that this is exactly why his father is called the King of Fools, because he never corrects Ares' mistaken ideas. Belle returns home and finds Haruhime washing everyone's clothes, so he offers to help her. She tries to stop him, but he refuses to listen. During the process, he accidentally picks up a piece of underwear, leaving both of them deeply embarrassed. Hestia notices them and decides that the boys and girls in her familia are forbidden from touching one another. Haruhime tries to use her tail to hold Belle's hand, but Hestia forbids that as well. Lily then objects to the new rule because it will make fighting inside the dungeon difficult. Hestia responds that it is Lily's job to find a solution. Lily tells her that if the rule applies to everyone, then even Hestia should not be allowed to touch Belle. However, Hestia argues that she is his goddess and must touch him to update his status. As the two continue arguing, Hestia eventually backs down, but she declares that flirting is still forbidden. Mikoto asks whether the rule applies to the gods as well, while Welf says that he is close to Hephaestus. Hestia replies that love between a god and a human is perfectly normal and completely allowed. Lily is confused and says that makes no sense. Gods are allowed to enter relationships with humans, but humans are forbidden from entering relationships with one another. Hestia tells her to forget about it. She then asks Bel what he would do if a goddess confessed her love to him. Bel replies that he would reject her because he does not believe he is worthy of her love. His answer deeply hurts Hestia, and she runs away. Bel does not understand what he said wrong, so Lily explains that his words also apply to adventurers and supporters. If someone cannot be with the person they love because of their position, it can hurt them deeply. Bel finally understands and decides to go search for Hestia. On the battlefield, we see people from Arario trying to sell their supplies to injured soldiers, while Aisha searches for a man worthy of her time. Ares realizes that they cannot win through direct combat, so he decides to abduct one of Arario's gods and force the city to surrender, shocking Marius. Before anyone can stop him, Ares runs off and tells Marius to follow him. At the same time, Bel searches for Hestia and encounters Miak and Hephaestus. He asks them where she is, but neither of them knows. They notice how nervous he is and ask why he is searching for her. So Bel asks whether it is possible for a goddess to fall in love with a human. Miak says that it has happened before. Bel wonders how something like that could happen when gods and humans are completely different. They tell him not to be afraid, and that if a goddess ever confesses her love to him, he should not run away from her and should continue respecting her, even if he loves someone else. When he looked at Hestia, he remembered his goddess, Brid, which shocked her because the two of them had once been friends. He was afraid that he would not be able to see Brid when he returned to heaven, but Hestia reassured him and told him that she would find her. He began to cry because he saw Brid's image in Hestia, as though she had brought all his memories back to him. After Karm's death, Bel asked Hestia whether he would ever be able to meet Brid again. She told him that it would be difficult because when souls return to heaven, they are restored to an extremely pure state, forget everything, and then return to the lower world. It is part of a system that no one can change. She then asked whether he believed a human and a goddess could truly love each other. Bel replied that human lives are short while gods are eternal, which would make their separation painful and incredibly difficult, openly explaining his opinion. Hestia told him that he did not need to worry, and that no matter what happened, she would always remain by his side. Her words made him cry, and he could no longer hold back his tears. She told him that even if death separated them, she would continue searching for him no matter how long it took. Therefore, he did not need to be afraid of loving her, and her words were completely clear and sincere. The following day, they visited Karm's grave and decided to leave the village. The atmosphere was peaceful, yet filled with a quiet sadness. Bel wanted to return whenever he had the chance, and Ice said that she wanted to come with him. However, Hestia became jealous and told her to stay away from him, creating a small amount of tension between them. Mayor Karm catches up with them, and his daughter Rina appears. Hestia thanks them, and they allow the group to remain in the village for a little longer, causing their departure to be postponed. Ias returns, and says that she could not find Asfi or the Rakia army, but she believes they should remain in the village for a while. Bel agrees, though he becomes nervous when he sees her drying her hair and quickly looks away. At the same time, we learn that Karm is ill and that his daughter Rina is taking care of him. He is happy to have her beside him, but he asks her to rest because she is also attending to Hestia, and his exhaustion is clearly visible. The following day, Rina brings tea to Hestia and Bel and tells them that the village is holding a harvest festival. Hestia asks Bel to help with the preparations, and he agrees without hesitation. As Bel heads outside, he encounters Ice and tells her that she looks beautiful in her new clothes. She asks where he is going, and he tells her that he is going to help the villagers with the preparations, making her smile. One of the villagers is amazed by Ice's beauty, but Bel says that everyone has their own unique kind of beauty, trying to sound as natural as possible. As he walks, he notices something strange, and one of the villagers points toward it and tells him that they are scales from the Black Dragon. They reveal that the village possesses 10 scales and that they pray to them because the scales frighten monsters away and protect them. They believe this is the reason they have been able to live in peace, and every one of them has faith in their power. However, Bel is confused because the legend says the Black Dragon will destroy the world, not protect people. causing him to think about the matter more deeply. Before leaving, he sees Ayas standing in front of the scales with an angry expression on her face, immediately drawing his attention. Belle later returns to the house and finds Carm standing beside Hestia while she sleeps. In a calm voice, Carm asks Belle to speak with him. Inside another room, Carm shows him a symbol and his daughter Rina is taking care of him. He is happy to have her beside him, but he asks her to rest because she is also attending to Hestia, and his exhaustion is clearly visible. The following day, Rina brings tea to Hestia and Belle and tells them that the village is holding a harvest festival. Hestia asks Belle to help with the preparations, and he agrees without hesitation. As Belle heads outside, he encounters Ice and tells her that she looks beautiful in her new clothes. She asks where he is going, and he tells her that he is going to help the villagers with the preparations, making her smile. One of the villagers is amazed by Ice's beauty, but Belle says that everyone has their own unique kind of beauty, trying to sound as natural as possible. As he walks, he notices something strange, and one of the villagers points toward it and tells him that they are scales from the Black Dragon. They reveal that the village possesses 10 scales and that they pray to them because the scales frighten monsters away and protect them. They believe this is the reason they have been able to live in peace, and every one of them has faith in their power. However, Belle is confused because the legend says the Black Dragon will destroy the world, not protect people, causing him to think about the matter more deeply. Before leaving, he sees Ayas standing in front of the scales with an angry expression on her face, immediately drawing his attention. Belle later returns to the house and finds Carm standing beside Hestia while she sleeps. In a calm voice, Carm asks Belle to speak with him. Inside another room, Carm shows him a symbol and reveals that he was once the child of a goddess, but he was unable to save her, and the pain of that failure still remains visible within him. After she died while defending him and saving him from a group of monsters, she was called back to heaven. Carm considered ending his own life so he could follow her, and this is where our story comes to an end. Dear viewers, we hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to see the second season, let me know in the comments. Before closing the video, do not forget to press the like button to support us, subscribe to follow more episodes, and activate the notification bell so you can watch every new anime featured on the channel. Share your opinions with us in the comments, and we will see you again in future episodes. Goodbye.